Hey, it's KatYaks, and right now I'm about to cook up some squirrel stew. I got a few squirrels the other day. I'm going to use 2 red squirrels. It'll be a small batch of stew, maybe just enough for like a bowl or 2. I'm the only person in my family that eats it, so. First, I'm going to add a clove of garlic. I'll scoot that off to the side. And then I'm going to use a chunk of onion, probably a quarter of an onion. Like I said, it's only a batch enough for one person. To this pan, I'm going to add just a little butter. I actually made that butter from scratch. Add a little bit more. I'm just going to saute the garlic and the onions for a little bit. It just gives it extra flavor when it's in the stew. Just until they start to brown up a little bit. Now the garlic and the onions have started to get a little bit brown. I just added some frozen chicken stock. It was homemade, so I made the chicken stock and then I used it to pressure cook some squirrel in the other day. And since it's frozen, I'm just kind of using a pan to melt it down. So now for the most part my chicken stock has melted down. I'm going to add a couple shakes of Old Bay seasoning, a little bit of Lawry seasonal salt, a little shake of onion powder, a little shake of garlic powder, and then grind a little bit of sea salt. You can use whatever spices you like. Those are just the ones that I use because they're my favorite. Turning off the heat. And I'm just going to dump the base broth into the slow cooker that I'm using. I have 2 red squirrels. These have been soaking overnight in salt water. That just draws out the blood that might be left over in them. So I'm just going to add those whole to the pot. I did shoot them with a shotgun, so when I go through after they cook and pull the meat off the bone, I'll pick out any leftover shot that might be in there. Here's just a size comparison for you guys. I'm using 2 red squirrels because they're very small. I have this, what's in the freezer package right now is 1 smaller female gray squirrel. So these red squirrels are pretty tiny. I think a lot of people don't eat them, but I think they taste just as good as a gray squirrel. So we're gonna set those in the crock pot. I'm going to put it on low for the first couple hours, and then I'm going to come back. It's about noon right now. I'll give you time updates. I'm going to come back and shred the meat off the bone when it's ready. Okay, so now it's been about an hour and a half and the squirrel's cooked. I'm going to take it out and take the squirrel out and set them on a plate and let them cool. And while those are cooling off, I'm going to chop up some potatoes and some carrots. By the time I'm doing that, the squirrel should be cool enough to touch, and then I'll take the meat off the bone and put it. So I just have a little handful of carrots since this is a very small batch of stew. I'm going to cut the baby carrots into thirds. You can add whatever veggies you want. I might add in a tomato too if we still have some in the garden. Kind of froze, so I don't know if they'll be any good. And just slide these into the pot. You can also make this recipe on the stove, which I've done before. I just brought it to a simmer for like 6 hours. It's just easier to do it in a crock pot. And I like a lot of potatoes, so I'm going to add 2. Now I'm going to take the 2 squirrels and pull the meat off the bone and make sure to pick out any leftover shot that's in there. Then I'll add it back into the stew. So here's the meat that I pulled off 2 red squirrels, minus the front legs off of one of them because they were shattered. There's some of the BBs I pulled out. They're tiny. I usually just chew really slow when I eat this. I'll add all the meat into the pot. Stir it up. And let it cook.